And we are back. Haven't heard that in a while. I'm happy to be back. Do you miss me? Uh, it's been a really long time since we sat here and had a conversation. It's been a while since we talked about creativity. I'm pretty sure the conversation is happening outside of this platform and this space. I hope so. I hope that it has done what I originally intended to do, which was to inspire you and to be more creative or find your creativity or kind of reside in your creative space element. Um, and these brief interruptions or um, brief intermissions are expected. It's life, you know what I mean? Life happens, but this wasn't a bad interruption. It was actually pretty good. Um, and one that I say I needed more than I want to be open and honest about, but I needed whatever happened over the last 3 weeks, and I'm glad I was able to experience it and live it, and for it to be as rewarding and fulfilling as it was. But we're gonna get into that. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about a few things. But I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be back with you guys. I'm happy to. Uh, I think I listen to myself more, like through this platform than in any other instance. I feel like, which is weird to say, but I'm conscious of my voice on this platform. So this is interesting. So with that said, we're gonna start off how we always start off, with an exercise in mindfulness, focusing on your breath. 10 breaths. I prefer your eyes closed, and that's how we're gonna start. So starting now. And we are here. Welcome to what I think is episode 33. For a lot of people, that's a Jesus number. We're here. We're gonna get our minds going by, as always, I'll try to bring a puzzle, a brain teaser to kind of get you thinking and prepared for the conversation that we're about to have. And the one I have for you today is: I'm an odd number, take away a letter, and I become even. What number am I? I'm an odd number, take away a letter, and I become even. What number am I? Today, I want to talk about, on this episode, I want to talk about um, inspiration, being inspired. And the reason that is the theme for today's conversation is interesting because I thought about what I could talk about on this particular episode. And so much happened over the last 3 to 4 weeks. I think I can honestly say that the last 3 to 4 weeks has been one of the most inspiring moments in time, extended periods of time, that I've ever had in my entire life. I've had and been through a wave of inspiration, opportunities to be inspired, and just everywhere. It was just this influx of inspiration that it was. I don't want to say it was overwhelming because it felt organic and it felt right. Each moment just felt right. Um, and it was huge for me because I think a lot of the times when we talk creativity, it has been about creative output, right? And how we're producing things. And I think we haven't spent a lot of time on the preparation for creativity and how we fill our cups or refill our cups as creative people. And I think a huge part of refilling our cup and re-energizing and becoming motivated all over again is through inspiration. And I think it's important that we are active and intentional about seeking inspiration and using it as a source for our creativity. So the last 3 weeks, what has been interesting is how it all started. I think it started from, there's been inspirational moments along the way, but the one that I guess was just overflowing with inspiration. I did something that I haven't done in a really long time. I can't even remember the last time or the last. My memory is not coming back to me. The last time I went to a Broadway show, but I went recently, about three weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, to Alicia Keys' Hell's Kitchen. And maybe I'd forgotten what it's like to attend a Broadway show. Now, after seeing this one, I feel like I've never been to one before, but it was inspirational. It was an overflow of creativity. It was inspiring. It was emotional. It was life. It was experiences. It was a reality check. It was a reflection. It was a mirror of just having to look at your own experiences and your own life and kind of see it happen on screen and on stage. And it might not, it doesn't matter where you are in life. I felt like in a moment throughout that performance, that Broadway show, there was at some point there was a connection that allowed you to relate to what was happening on stage, and it was amazing to watch, and it kind of jumpstart what would ultimately lead to the last 3 weeks of just pure, unfiltered inspiration. And it was great because I got to share that with a beautiful soul, and it was remarkable to see how everyone, how they consumed what was happening, but their individual reaction to it. I think that in itself was inspiring too, right? It's like these people from different walks of life experiencing the same thing but in a different way, and it triggering similar emotions across. And you can see it, you can feel it in the ear, you can sense the emotions in the voices. You can see the ears picking up the emotion and translating into their being. It was an experience, and I encourage anybody. This is not even an ad for this is not an ad for Hell's Kitchen, the Broadway show. This was just an honest reaction to what I saw. And prior to this, I had planned. I know I think I've said this before. I said two things lead to my inspiration, or I go to these two things when I'm in dire need of inspiration. I go to black, and I travel, I go. The theme has always been when I go on these trips to escape the world that I know and explore the world that I don't know. And this trip was no different. And I did it with intention, because not only did I travel, I traveled in all black. I packed light, and everything inside my bag was black, because I was intentional about being inspired. I would not get in the way of my inspiration or anything that would allow me to fill my cup. And I set out to go to South America. I had a flight out of LaGuardia, I think it was, that to Medellin, and then a flight out from Lima, Peru, back to New York. I think it was like maybe 12 days later, maybe around that. So I had to get in between those cities over the course of that time frame. I only had 2 stops that I really wanted to make as I was backpacking through these countries. One, I really wanted to visit the Galapagos Islands for what it is historically, and Darwin and the theory of evolution, and and Machu Picchu in Peru, because of, again, the history associated with it, but the ingenuity of just human beings, and the ability. And I don't think you understand. I didn't understand Machu Picchu until I was actually on the ground. Like, and then I say on the ground, but you're literally thousands of feet above sea level. It's like, it's a thing. And it was remarkable. The trip itself was inspiring, and every aspect of it. And one of the things that I did, which I normally do, but I was more conscious of it, was just kind of going with the flow of not things, but people. And I wasn't reserved or skeptical of anyone. And I embraced the organic nature of the interactions I had with everybody. And those interactions happened. And they happened a lot. Unexpectedly. And I met some really good people who, oddly enough, share similar interests as I do. Obviously, we're most of these people are traveling to, are in transit. Especially when I was in the Galapagos, one of the things I did was I went to snorkel and dive in Las Grietas, and that was amazing. And I met a few people going out, taking the ferry out to that, and that was something, an experience that I don't think that I can properly explain in this conversation, or even give it its just due just by talking about it. It was just something that you had to be there to experience. And even like walking through the grounds of Machu Picchu, and I, as much as I'm saying ground, it's just so high up. It's like one of the thoughts I had while taking a trip up to Machu Picchu was we are civilization itself is just so remarkable that and obviously the creativity and the ingenuity that goes with it. It's like, how did we ultimately decide to put civilization randomly amongst the mountaintops? And until you actually visit these places, I don't think you understand. It's hard to grasp what it's like to be in those spaces and in high altitude. It took me to adjust, especially in Cusco. That was different because that was higher altitude than Machu Picchu, and you felt dizzy. You felt, I don't know. There's a lot that was happening, and I did not run from the experience. It was a beautiful experience, even in the moment when I felt uneasy, for lack of a better word. But it was a remarkable experience. Now, so for the last, I just got back a few days ago. I've had an opportunity to decompress. I am admittedly inspired to a level that I've never been before. And as much as I am conscious of that, my immediate response or reaction isn't to be creative. It's almost like I've found comfort in being inspired, and I just want to continue to be inspired. Like, I want to spend the next few days in a constant search for inspiration, as opposed to just taking this inspiration and turning it into something. And usually I'd be the one to tell you, like, hey, inspiration is fleeting. You have to take advantage of it now, because if you don't, you might lose it. And usually when I'm this inspired, I grab a notepad and I jot down ideas and possibilities. But for some reason, that's not the space I'm in right now. Like, I'm not in a space to want to create. I feel like for the last few years, I've been overtly creative, and my output has been super high. And now that I'm finally having an opportunity to refill my cup, I'm not quick to empty it again. And it's weird because this is the exact opposite of the advice that I would give anybody. And it's hard for me to even comprehend the why. And maybe because, if I'm honest, being creative is not priority for me right at this second. And I'm saying that not because obviously what creativity means to me and the impact it has on my life, and it's my everyday conscious creativity. But instead of creating new, I feel like the creativity I want to bring is fixing old. Like, there are things that are actively happening in this particular moment, and rather than pushing to bringing novel ideas, I want to revisit old ideas and old situations, and add a creative spin to that, and focus my creative energy towards that. Just for now, I think we're all going through a lot of things right now, and I think I'm conscious of that, and I want to, as much as I can, I feel like I could literally reinvent the wheel, with the amount of creativity I have, kind of that's building up, and hopefully I have a good pressure gauge, so I don't explode with creativity. But I think that I'm at a point right now where I could solve any design problem, any particular issue, any, you name it. I can solve it in this particular moment because of how charged up I am, with inspiration that if we talk about the conservation of energy, that inspiration will turn into creativity. But I am not in an urgent need to be creative right now. As inspired as I am in this particular moment, my first thought is not to go be creative, which is odd. I don't know that this was expected. I if you had told me the level of creativity I have today, if you would have told me a few weeks ago that I would have this, man, I would call up all nonprofits and say, hey, meet me here and let's solve all the problems, all the woes that you currently have. Just give me a week and just line them up. But right now, I don't feel like I feel like I just want to continue to be inspired. Like I found a pocket where it's like, I like this space. And I know it's temporary. And maybe because for a lot of times I've used my creativity to help others and solve problems. And over the last few weeks, it's been less about that and more about just self-preservation, self-care, self-maintenance, and just appreciating individual moments without any expectations or outcomes. It's just being guided by the universe and the people within it in hopes that there aren't any bad intentions and we're just all looking to be better people and offering our services to better the next person to make a better world. And that's the space that I'm in right now. I'm honestly just excuse me. I'm honestly just I'm in a creative space right now that I don't want to exit out of. But the creativity does not require immediate manifestation, if that makes sense. I am so inspired right now that I don't even want to be creative, which is, again, it's odd. It's almost like when you're so tired you can't even fall asleep, when naturally a tired body would instinctually just fall asleep. That's how I feel right now with my creativity. I'm so inspired right now, I don't even want to be creative. And that's hard to explain, and I don't know how else to explain it beyond just that. But I will end this how we started, just so it doesn't go too long. The original question was, I am an odd number. Take away a letter and I become even. What number am I? I am an odd number. Take away a letter and I become even. What am I? I am 7, the number 7, which is coincidentally the name of my oldest daughter. I appreciate every moment that we've had together, that we will continue to have together. Thank you for allowing me to create this space. Thank you for being a part of it. I look forward to future conversations. I will leave you how I always leave you. Go be great.